People asked for Ghostbusters to come back. They campaigned for years to see Indiana Jones have one more adventure. Hollywood listened, the sequels got made, and then something happened. Nobody showed up. Or, not enough people showed up. The ones who did left feeling like they just sat through a 2-hour lecture instead of a movie. Studios blame fatigue, but the truth is simpler and more psychological. I want a sequel, and I want to feel what I felt when I was 12 are not the same request. And Hollywood has not figured out the difference. Here's something neuroscience knows that the industry still hasn't absorbed. Nostalgia isn't about the movie. It's about you. When you remember the original Star Wars or Raiders of the Lost Ark, you aren't just remembering a plot. You're accessing a memory of who you were when you experienced it. The film is the trigger. The feeling is about your past self, your age, your circumstances, the specific emotional place you were in. This creates the nostalgia gap. A sequel cannot make you 12 again. It cannot put you back in that theater with your father. No matter how perfectly it recreates the costumes, it will always feel like a slightly wrong copy of a feeling you can no longer fully access. This is why surveys are useless. When someone says, "I'd pay for more Indiana Jones," what they mean is, "I miss how that story made me feel." Only one of those is a ticket sale. There is a specific, destructive failure mode that's become the industry standard, the deconstruction. This is when a studio decides the original audience is the problem to be solved. Look at Star Wars: The Last Jedi. This is the clinical example of killing the past. It didn't just move the story forward, it fundamentally altered the character of Luke Skywalker to serve a new narrative theme. It told the original fans that their decades of investment were a mistake. The result? A massive audience exit that the franchise is still struggling to recover from in 2026. Look at Terminator: Dark Fate. It committed the ultimate nostalgia gap sin. It killed John Connor in the first 5 minutes. It deleted the entire emotional weight of T2, the movie the fans actually loved, to clear the deck for a new, more relevant story. When you delete the stakes of the original, you delete the reason for the sequel to exist. We also have the Willow series, a masterclass in betrayal. Disney used the original world as furniture, but filled the house with characters who spoke and acted like modern influencers. The fans felt like guests in their own home. The show was eventually scrubbed from existence for a tax write-off. And then we have the abomination that is 2016's Ghostbusters. It tried to manufacture cultural attachment by decree. It didn't continue the story, it tried to replace it. You cannot tell a new generation, "This is your version now," and expect it to have the same weight as something that grew organically for 30 years. Sometimes a sequel is technically brilliant, but fails the nostalgia gap test in a different way. Blade Runner 2049 is a masterpiece of cinematography, but it struggled at the box office because it was too detached. It respected the original too much, becoming a cold, academic exercise rather than a visceral experience. It proved that if you don't find a way to make the new story feel as urgent as the memory of the old one, the audience will stay home and just watch the original again. When a sequel works, it's because it treats the original audience like a foundation, not an obstacle. Look at the Creed franchise. This is how you do a handoff correctly. Creed didn't make Rocky Balboa look incompetent to make Adonis Creed look strong. It used Rocky's legendary status to give Adonis's journey weight. It honored the scar of the Rocky franchise and invited a new generation to witness why the old generation cared so much. Look at Cobra Kai. This is arguably the most successful legacy project of the last decade. Why? Because it didn't fix Johnny Lawrence or Daniel LaRusso. It explored them as flawed, aging men. It brought in a new generation, but it made sure that the load-bearing fans were the ones driving the emotional stakes. It respected the history, so the new audience respected the show. Top Gun: Maverick is the $1.5 billion proof of concept. Paramount didn't look at Pete Mitchell as a relic to be healed. They put him at the center and made his age and his stubborn competence the actual subject of the film. It didn't pretend time didn't pass. It made the passage of time the antagonist. Maverick is the guy who refuses to stop doing the thing, even when the technology is becoming obsolete. That is a story only possible because of the original. It didn't try to close the nostalgia gap. It used the original feeling as high-octane fuel for something new. You don't grow a franchise by firing the people who built the house. The new audience for Maverick didn't show up because of a marketing campaign. They showed up because the original audience was so respected and electrified that they became the most effective marketing department in history. When you take the load-bearing fans seriously, they bring the rest of the world with them. When you treat them like a demographic to be managed, the whole structure comes down. Cultural attachment isn't transferable by corporate memo. It's earned through quality and respect.
Tickets, please.
Boss.